Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another installation of Off the Bench with Scotty and Corey. I am Scotty. That is our lovely co-host Corey over there. How you doing tonight, brother?
Man, I'm doing great. It's another great day to be a football fan. Can't complain any at all. What do you got for us today, man?
Well, you know what? Let's start off with the hot news. Jalen Waddle traded from the Miami Dolphins to the Denver Broncos. Correct me if I'm wrong on these terms. Waddle and a fourth to the Broncos in return for a first, third, and fourth. Uh, that to me, listen, I know Jalen Waddle is a stud, and I know that the Broncos, in a lot of mock drafts, were seen taking a wide receiver. You get a true number one out there in Denver for Bo Nix. And that's not to say Cortland Sutton isn't the number one. He's just more of like a 1A type guy. But you get a lot of natural talent, a lot of speed, and great hands with Jalen Waddle. I think the Dolphins won this trade in the long term. However, in this coming season, I do think that the Broncos win this trade in the short term. How do you feel about it, partner?
Well, like you said, they sent its first round pick, which is numbered at 30 overall. It's third and fourth, numbered 94 and 130. Now, that's quite a few picks, and that's in the upcoming draft. Jalen Waddles did 100. He was targeted 100 times. He only had 64 receptions for 910 yards and six receiving touchdowns. So I agree with you. I think on the long run, I think that Miami definitely can go out and get somebody that they really want.
Very deep wide receiver
And
class in this draft.
absolutely, and they're going to find a replacement for him very easy. Now he is among one of the fastest players, and like you said, Sutton is not the wide receiver one type guy. Jalen Waddle is. He's among some of the fastest guys in the league. He has shown that he can play with the rest of the defensive crew. He's hard to guard, especially with them having Tyreek Hill on their team for some of the year. I know he left with an injury, but I don't know. I think them getting rid of him and getting an opportunity to get a couple more wide receivers through this draft, if they so choose, they could take all three and go get three wide receivers if they want to. But again, I like the trade. I do. They got three picks out of it, and Denver gets a pick back, I believe,
Yes, a
and
fourth round exchange.
yeah, and Jalen Waddle. I think both teams have benefited here. But yes, I do believe that Miami does win in the long run with the picks. It has a potential to win in the long run. Now they could go out and get a bust, which isn't that like you said it's a deep class. If I'm Miami, I'm targeting someone from Ohio State, especially looking for a wide receiver. There have been a couple of guys come out and say that most of these or some of these wide receivers here in the NFL wouldn't touch the field at Ohio State, and that's just how Ohio State is. They focus on that part of their game. So, but that's my view on it, man. Um, I don't know. I just feel like that it's fairly even, and Miami could go out and get someone better.
Absolutely. One small caveat before we move on. I think that they have, and by they I mean the front office of the Miami Dolphins, they have a huge pressure on them to not hang out high and dry. New QB1 Malik Willis in his first season with the team, so I think the pressure is on for them to go out and get him a reliable number one so that he may perform to the best of his capabilities immediately. Could that be a player like Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State at the 11th pick? It could be. Could that be a free agent? Could they go out and get Stephon Diggs for a year? Who knows? That's all to be seen. But moving on, what do you have next for me, partner? What do we got?
Well,
I know we
I
had
got
some
something
chatter.
a little. We got a little bit of chatter on our YouTube here. Um, By the way, go follow. We have a guy named Samuel Penner. Samuel, thank you for your comments, sir. I'm assuming, sir. Um, he said that the Commanders need to get rid of that stupid name, and I'm quoting here. And I read it. Obviously, I had feelings about it, being a Commanders fan. Just thought, what are your thoughts on the comment?
I think that the name is not for everyone, and a lot of people, and there are still a lot of us out there that aren't in love with the name. However, for myself and for the rest of the fans, we may voice our opinions out loud. We may love the name, we may hate the name, but none of us have Josh Harris on speed dial or his team is in relation to football operations. So I choose personally to rep the burgundy and gold right there over my right shoulder. I choose to rep the burgundy and gold. Doesn't matter what the name is. Now that does take a lot of energy. And speaking of energy, my friend, Off the Bench is brought to you guys by our good friends at Aspire Energy. You guys, this stuff is awesome. Green tea, natural energy, 80 milligrams of caffeine, um, fantastic energy, lots of supplements. They use a lot of guarana. It's really, really good. It's awesome. Half the caffeine, all day energy, no jitters, no crash, keto friendly, and diabetic friendly. But here's the best part, you guys. Because they help us bring you episodes of Off the Bench, they also bring you the best deals. If you go to aspiredrinks.com /discount OTB25, you get 20% off of your total order. That is aspiredrinks.com /discount OTB25. Thank you so much to Aspire for trusting and believing in us. So,
Absolutely, we do
partner,
appreciate it.
how are we feeling? What do you have next for me, man? What do you have next for me? Or what do I have for
Actually,
you
it is
and
what
these
you
peeps?
have for us as a fan base and myself as a host. I believe that we are stepping into the one and only Scotty's mock draft coming up for the new draft here in 5 weeks. Um, bear with me, y'all. If y'all are watching, you will be able to see the mock draft on your screen now, and we are going to go over uh, what your picks would be.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, this is mock draft 1.0. This is based completely off of the roster for the Washington Commanders as it stands. Also, if you like how this shakes out, our good buddy Corey is going to do his own mock draft over on the channel on Saturday. So make sure you tune in for that as well. But let's get this started. I have a good plan going into this mock draft. This is just what I would do and what I would like to see from the organization to address the issues that are still on the roster. Let's take a quick look at the first 6 picks before we dive into our number 1 overall pick. So, Fernando Mendoza, one to the Raiders. Everybody believes that. And then followed by Sonny Styles, the linebacker out of Ohio State, to the Jets. Nobody would question that. Sonny Styles is an absolute monster. So is Arvel Reese going third overall to the Cardinals. Nobody would doubt that one bit. Here is the pick that I think is the next truest in the entire NFL draft. That is Jeremiah Love going number 4 overall to the Tennessee Titans. I believe they think that they are just a running back away. David Bailey, the defensive end or outside linebacker for the Texas Tech Red Raiders, going to the New York Giants, followed by the Ruben Bain Jr., my guy out of the U, Miami, going to the Cleveland Browns. For me, for me, here is what I think is could or would happen. So, I think that the Dallas Cowboys or the Detroit Lions would try to move up. For this scenario, possibly the LA Rams. Possibly the LA Rams if they want to address an offensive issue. Um, but that's neither here nor there. For the purpose of this draft, we are going to do these. Actually, we're going to not do that. We're going to do a third. We are going to trade back with the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to get a
Wow.
second, third round pick here. Now, here is beauty. I love this because my number one wide receiver in this draft is still here on the board. That is Mekhi Lemon. I think he is an absolute animal, but we're going to swerve because we never do anything as predicted on this channel. And I'm going to draft Jordan Tyson, wide receiver, out of Arizona State. Now, I'll tell you why I go ASU and Jordan Tyson here. For me, he is the most NFL ready, and I'll back my statement with a statement from a former NFL wide receiver. Now, granted, he used to play in Dallas, but we would like to think that Des Bryant knows ball, and Des Bryant said that Jordan Tyson, his route crispness, the amount of routes in his route tree, the speed, the separation ability, the quickness, the suddenness. He says Jordan Tyson, when healthy, is the best for the wide receiver class of the 2026 NFL draft. Why are we stopped here? Here we go. What? It only did a first round. What? You know what? We're just gonna keep going. We're just gonna keep going. You know what? It doesn't matter. It does not matter. We're gonna do this again. Editor, edit that out. Nah, give me just a second here, y'all. We're going to dial up our trade again. Let's see here. We'll do 1292 and 177 again. They're not interested in trading for this pick. Oh. Oh. We're gonna offer it anyway. They accepted it. Boom. How about that? All right. There we go. Now here at pick 71, this is a huge pick, especially if Washington goes offense in the first round. If they end up going wide receiver in the first round, this is such a huge pick. There are four guys right here at the top of the board that you can see. I think they are going to roll with that cornerback room the way that it is if they do not draft Mansour Delane at number 7. Now, this guy right here is an absolute bulldog. I love this cat, and as you can see, he's gotten better with his time at Arkansas. 167 rush attempts, 1,066 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Runs over everybody. Absolutely brutal runner. And runs a 4.33 with the 71st overall pick. I am drafting Mike Washington Jr. out of Arkansas. I think he meets a big need. Does he have the finesse of a Jordan or of a Jeremiah Love? Not in the ways that you would think, but his his vision between the tackles, the way he reads defenses it's honestly a sight to behold. And I think it's a fantastic, fantastic get to have Mike Washington at 71. Now here, Dalen Everett is the best player available. Offensive line is deep, but I think that we need to get a center for competition with Nick Allegretti there in the center. So we're going to go with Jake Slaughter in that second, third round pick right there. Now here's where we start to get into territory where we take the best available player. You also have to keep foresight. Javon Kinlaw could possibly be out of Washington next year. It seems like the writing is on the wall for Deron Payne, so we're going to pad the defensive line with Tim Keenan III. I love Tim. I think he's a fantastic bulldog on the inside of that defensive line for Alabama, and I love to see him out there. Now, I think we also need to pad depth at linebacker as well, so we'll roll right on through with Trey Moore. Yeah, we'll roll with Trey Moore. I don't want to reach for anybody. Also, very underrated in his class right now. I think that he's going to make a big splash somewhere. He may not immediately start, but I think he's going to have a Dre Greenlaw esque projection to his career. Now, obviously, there is a there's a need at safety. So with our 206th pick, we are going to take Lorenzo Styles Jr. out of Ohio State. I think he absolutely flies around. He's everywhere the ball is. Has great timing. So you love to see that in your guys as well. Let's see here. We're getting into a territory where it's not the worst thing to select some offensive line depth. I like Inez Cooper, but Jaden Roberts did play better throughout the season. We're going to go Alabama, Jaden Roberts right here. And with our final pick, just to have depth all the way across the board, I'm going to take Jaden Kennedy, cornerback from Oregon. And I think that really, really hits home for all of the needs that were not met in the free agency period here. And there you have it, folks. There is Scotty's mock draft 1.0.
Nice, nice. Looks good, man. I like the way you think. I do. Obviously, some changes I would have made, but if you want to know my changes and what I would have done, come back around for next Saturday and you will see and find out. As long as this goes good, as long as we have a good reaction from this mock draft, um, we'll see where I stand next week. This coming up Saturday. So please tune in for that, and we will see you guys. I will see you then for my draft. If I can stop fumbling over my words.
It happens to the best of us, partner.
Now, back to the things at hand. I believe there is a certain somebody among need to know ears that would love to know. And one young man named Brandon Ayuk. I believe you have the details of that for us, my friend. What do you got for me?
So, some more light being shed on this story, this ever growing saga in the separation of Brandon Ayuk from the San Francisco 49ers organization from one George Kittle. And everybody knows, everybody who watches ball, who listens to George Kittle talk, knows that George shoots from the hip when he speaks. And to summarize what was said in his interview on Bussin' with the Boys, with those guys, we love Will Compton, we love Taylor Lewan around here. I personally listen to Bussin', which is how I found this out. He said in not so many words that everything seemed all right with the BA starting last season. He was with the team through training camp. He was with the team um, rehabbing his knee and trying to make things right. He got his payday. He got hurt. And it seemed like everything was moving forward again. Now, George says that he was Brandon Ayuk was at the facility. He was doing his rehab with the team, and somewhere about week 6, he says he doesn't know exactly the week, but somewhere about week 6, uh, BA stops coming around. The news broke. Whatever the ongoing drama is or was behind the scenes, that broke, and Brandon Ayuk has not been around the building since. So
Wow.
it seems to me that the more that comes to light with this is Ayuk was trying to put the past behind him. Now, here's the big thing about what he did. What I'm guessing is a response to the 49ers organization. He forfeited his guarantees from his contract. Completely was just like, I don't want the money. I don't care. I'm forfeiting the guarantees. Do with my contract what you will. And the 49ers organization are like, well, yeah, we have that power. So we're going to do with it what we will. So it seems to me like the more that comes out in this situation, it's less that Brandon Ayuk had a meltdown and more that there was an amicable separation that is no longer amicable and pure speculation. I do not know what's going on inside of John Lynch and the front office, but it seems to me like they are basically holding Brandon Ayuk's contract captive. That is the latest. It's not a huge tidbit, but it is news from George Kittle himself that VA was around the facility to start the season. Somewhere getting toward the middle of the season, he wasn't. The news broke that there was big trouble in Little China, and here we are.
Right. So from what I'm understanding is that they were trying to play it off, um, at least from what I've just heard, is that the media was trying to play it off that Brandon Ayuk had a meltdown and said, you know what, whatever. And it's starting to seem like you said, things got less amicable than what was portrayed. And that is a relief, at least to me, for Commanders fans, because as I've mentioned in the last episode and probably in the episode before that, y'all forgive me, I have a terrible memory. But I don't like extra drama, especially coming into the Commanders building, just because as a Commander fan, I don't want to see extra hoops. And if what seems to be the case, um, via our prying eyes, in what you just said, that things, again, less amicable. Um, that is nice because it tells me that there's not going to be that drama that I'm already afraid of with him, and that there's less to worry about with him. So if that be the case, that should put some of the Commanders fans that listen to the podcast at a little bit of ease. Um, at least that's the way I'm taking it. So what do you think? You think that takes away from some of the steer clear of Brandon Ayuk that some of the fans may have?
Absolutely. I absolutely do. Now, there were comments made um, that kind of twisted the story early on. This, I feel like, especially coming from someone inside the building and seeing it, I think it clarifies it some. Now, obviously, the whole story has yet to come to light. We don't know if it ever will. But it seems to me like Brandon Ayuk was like, I'm willing to do what I need to do. And then he was like, well, I don't know if I want to play for the 49ers. And then the 49ers were like, well, we don't know if we want you. And then he forfeited his guarantees, and then here we are. But there is obviously something brewing. And I'm with the rest of the Commanders fans that are like, just set him free. Nobody's going to take on that contract. You're not going to, not even on draft day, you're not going to fetch a seven for Brandon Ayuk because there were a lot of big spenders in free agency. A lot of big spenders, and a lot of people, especially in front offices, are not sold on that particular contract and player combo. I think the most that he will get, and it will eventually come via release, the most that he will get is probably an $8 million 1 year prove it deal. And I think most of all, when it comes to what people are calling drama of the situation, is the man just wants to play football with his best friend again. It was enough to reel Rashad White to Washington on a $2 million 1 year deal. It was enough to reel offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators and talent starting at the beginning of his tenure with Washington. They had a really good free agency then in 2024. Like Jaden Daniels is a draw, and
I mean, me
when
personally,
you
I'd
add
go
in,
be a bus or not a bus boy. What's it called? A water boy or a towel boy for a half-eaten cheeseburger and a $2 bill. I mean, so
yeah,
I mean, I definitely get
but
it.
you add in the personal aspect of going to college with someone, you spend that much time, you build that much rapport. That Arizona State team was lethal. They really were. And they just want that camaraderie back. And by them, I think it's Rashad White. I think it's Brandon Ayuk. I think it's Jaden Daniels. He does not speak on the matter. I his PR team and his agent, they're probably like, we don't, we don't want that. You're the face of a franchise. Don't put that negativity out there. But it's just a personal matter of it because a lot of time football gets lost in numbers and statistics. Those are still just guys out there on the field. They all have families, they all have friends. Sometimes they just want to reconvene with their friends. And that's what
Right.
it sounds like from BA's side. Sounds like the 49ers want to play hardball. He can be cut as late as June. So, who knows how long this saga
Now,
goes on.
my question to you, um, and for this is for the fans that might not know much about football who stumble upon our channel. When you come to someone surrendering their guarantees and whatever else have you, what does that leave them with as far as a contract goes anyway?
So, a surrender of guarantee is it's basically that. Now, if the 49ers force their hand and Brandon Ayuk does in fact suit up for the 49ers next year, then he still has his base salary, which is veteran minimum based off of the league, and then whatever incentives may tie along with that contract. From my understanding, I am not a legal expert on this matter. I have only done slight reading, but from what I understand is he
Gotcha.
does get his base salary and any incentives that he may hit.
Okay.
Now, because of the contract and what that is, it does still carry a dead cap weight from what I have gathered. Um, if you guys want more on this, leave a comment in the comment section or on any of our socials, and I will get to the bottom of it. I will find you the answers that you want. Um, but from my slim reading, it basically means that he can play for veteran minimum plus his incentives.
Okay. All right. Gotcha, man. Yeah. I mean, my thing on it, like I said, it's good to hear that it might not be as much drama as we think it is, and I would love to see, that Arizona State crew back together. I think with just the chemistry alone, I mean, Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill had great chemistry where he knew he could just throw the ball in the direction and Tyreek's gonna go get it. So that's the kind of camaraderie and chemistry that I want to come into Washington, where Jaden throws the ball to somebody and he trusts that person. Trust goes a long way, and especially in sports where it's not I can do everything. You know what I mean? Like you step in an octagon, you trust your training. How well did you train? And only you know that. And then you step on a football field and it's, well, how well did I train? But also, how well did everyone else around me train? How much chemistry did I build with this person? Do I really feel like I can throw the ball towards them and they're going to catch it every single time, or do I think that they're going to make a play for that ball? And so getting that kind of crew back together would help that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hopefully the Brandon Ayuk situation works itself out sooner rather than later for all involved. It's not doing any favors to the 49ers organization. It's not doing any favors to Brandon Ayuk, the football player. It's not doing any favors to the NFL. It's doing a lot of favors for all of our media friends who are getting to cover the saga of San Francisco 49ers and Brandon Ayuk. But what have you next for me, partner? What do we got going on?
The next thing is something that you and I kind of bounced around a little bit. Max Crosby and his and what little time he spent in the Ravens building. Now, you and I had talked about maybe he didn't see, you know, basically they flew him out there to waste his time.
Yeah, so a report by Ari Merov um, that he clipped from Max Crosby's podcast, The Rush, with Max Crosby. Apparently, Max Crosby was in that building for 5 hours and saw neither head coach Jesse Minter or GM Eric DaCosta. And when he finally met, now this is summarizing. There are no direct quotes in here. Um, when he finally met with general manager Eric DaCosta, he said that the energy felt off, and then he was promptly informed that they had concern about his medicals. Although they made this trade and knew that he had meniscus surgery 8 weeks prior to the meeting.
Yeah, I'm reading the what he said. These are Max Crosby's quotes here. Um, he said, and I quote, "I go into the room, they sit me down on the couch, and he's like, 'Man, I don't know how to say this, but one of our doctors has concerns with the results with your knee. Some of them are concerned about the future. We really want you.'" And let me just pause here. You don't really want someone if you send him into a room for 5 hours and no one meets with him. And this reporter that I'm reading usually consists of a meet and greet with the team's brass and a physical to confirm nothing's wrong. Um, but neither the head coach or the general manager met with Crosby for the first 5 hours of them being there. Anyway, moving on. Really want you, and this is what it is, but we're going to have to get more and more opinions. And to me, like you said, they already knew about his knee. It wasn't some big shock like, oh no, it's brand new news. We didn't know. You did. You did know, though. You knew about his recovery. I mean, he's walking around shortly after this without crutches. I believe I've seen a video on his Instagram with him doing jump rope. And I mean, he's doing fine. He's now congratulations, you've lit a fire under a guy who is going to come back and probably have the best season of his career, in my opinion. I mean, nothing would like I told you in last week's episode, nothing would light a fire under me like this. Um, Also, want to touch on something else. He said, let me find it here. He said, I've gone through some stuff in my life. He didn't say stuff. I can't lie, but that whole situation was probably one of the most unique, crazy, wild, up and down roller coasters I've ever been a part of. And that's sad to say, just knowing Max Crosby's history, and this is one of the things that he's going to remember for the rest of his life. Um, I don't know, man. I just feel like there was a lot of no one talking. I feel like, to me, in a sense, it feels like someone flew him out and then changed their mind mid-flight. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know, man. It
Yeah,
just leaves a
this
bad taste in your mouth about the whole thing.
yeah, this one's wild. Really quickly, and then we can move on. I want everyone to think about the prestige and discipline and respect that you think of whenever you hear of organizations such as the San Francisco 49ers and the Baltimore Ravens. And to hear what we have heard about these two particular organizations over the past, we'll call it 2 weeks now, it's kind of like an old case of you think you know a guy. Hopefully, these are just anomalies. In the Ravens' case, it seems to be a growing trend, especially since GM Eric DaCosta has taken over for Ozzie Newsome. But it does not look promising. As for trade partners with the Ravens, again, just speaking for what I know in the media and from what we know from Max, it's going to be hard for them to find suitable trade partners. And from a 49ers perspective, again, off of the speculation that we do have, um, but also the information that has recently come to light from George Kittle, it may be hard for the 49ers to reel in high profile um, outside free agents due to haven't been in the building before. That may be a little harder to do, especially if guys have a little personality. So, buyer beware is the cautionary tale that I am gathering from the two stories that we just covered.
Absolutely, man. I mean, you don't really know, like you said, you don't really know a guy until you know a guy.
Yeah, you think you know a guy, and then
Um,
you don't. All of a
so
sudden, all of a
yeah,
sudden, you're living next to Ed Gain or whoever.
yeah, that's crazy. Um, but ladies and gentlemen, to finally end y'all's to leave you guys wanting more, we are going to end this episode with the Washington Commanders bringing in a fella today. Who they bring in?
So, real quick preface: last year's wide receiver room in Washington was Terry McLaurin, Debo Samuel, and then everyone else. Obviously, Terry was down with injury for a lot. Luke McCaffrey stepped up in that time. I love Luke, but
Mm-hmm.
this guy that we're about to talk about brings up the floor. He is better than Chris Moore. He is better than Robbie Chosen. Um, has a ring with the Rams. Van Jefferson signed on the dotted line today for the Washington Commanders. I like it. He runs crisp, clean routes. He's never had a ton of yards. He's always been a support player in his time in the NFL. But he brings up the floor of that wide receiver room. You don't have to rely on guys like Ja'Cory Brooks, who is always on and off the practice squad. You don't have to rely on guys like Robbie Chosen or Chris Moore. And it's good to see a new face, and he looked excited to be there. So this excites me because the wide receiver room is better already than what it was at the bottom of the depth chart last year.
Yes, it does. And I'll tell you what. The details to this, the full terms of the deal, they weren't disclosed. But last year, and y'all can do the math for me here, he had 29 receptions, um, 350 yards. In week 6 alone, he totaled 4 receptions and 75 yards. Both it was a season high for him. Um, he did have 16 games with 7 starts last year, and I mean he with those 7 starts, with those 16 games he played, 29 receptions, 350 yards, as not a as like a basically you can get in the ball and he's going to move it downfield for you. Is what I'm trying to get out here. I think that was his best year he's played. He is on year 7, and if you look through the um, stats here, you just see that he continues to get better. And coming to Washington, I have no doubt that he will have 400, 450, 500 yards next year. So I'm excited about this. I like the pick. You get him out of Tennessee because unfortunately I don't not really a lot going on down there. um, but we get to see what he's actually like with a good team. Toot my own horn there. But yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, if that is all that Scotty is going to have for us, that we are going to have for you, thank you guys so much for watching or listening. Um, you guys, if you are listening, you can head on over to our YouTube page and you can watch the mock draft. And instead of just hearing it, it was full screen, so you guys can see that fairly well. Like, comment, subscribe on all the socials, follow all the socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, or not Twitch, TikTok, sorry. Um, yeah, and we're on all major podcasting platforms. If you are watching this, Amazon, Apple, um, Spotify.
Spotify.
We are on. You can go over to rss.com / off the bench with Scotty and Corey, and you can find us there as well if you want to watch it on Chrome or wherever you can get on the internet. But if that is everything for me, you guys don't mind to leave a comment. If you guys have something or questions that you guys want to talk about, if you have more questions about Aspire Energy, shoot us a message. Comment down below on anything that you want to hear about. Maybe we missed something on your favorite team. Comment that. Hey, can you guys cover the Steelers next week a little bit more, or can you guys go over what has happened with the Tennessee Titans, or you guys just comment that, and we will do that. It's no big deal. Please don't feel afraid to voice your opinions.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we will be doing divisional breakdowns to this point in free agency, um, starting on Saturday. So if we do not cover your favorite team and you want to see some specifics covered on your favorite team, just let us know what you want to see, and we will get to them. Um, but we are bringing you more diversified content as far as other teams in the NFL. So we look forward to having you around for that. Um, but partner, do you have anything else for us before we get up out of here for the night?
No, sir, I do not. We are good to go. Again, y'all go over to aspiredrinks.com /discount OTB25 to get your energy needs. And again, this is Off the Bench with Scotty and Corey, and we are signing off.